Woo! The Golden Stallion, the man of tomorrow, Sabzu, the rated R, woo, radio star, here to, well, let's corrupt the world some more, shall we? We've been doing it all week. Anyway, time for your Patreon-only Sovryn Tech live Hangout Q&A. And you can, of course, be a part of it either via the YouTube chat where you can ask questions, or you can also come right into the Hangout where you could do audio, or you could also do video if you wanted, or just audio. It's totally up to you. But also, I usually get a lot of preloaded questions for the Hangouts that people ask. And of course, this is in addition to the usual, because tomorrow, this is getting recorded on Tuesday. Let's see, it's April 17th. This will be tomorrow on the 18th. You'll still get your Wednesday Q&A, which is, well, not pre-recorded, but, you know, it's not done live anyway. So I guess that makes it pre-recorded. But you'll be getting that as well. This is an addition. We do this once a month. And I mean, if it ever gets really, really popular, we'll end up turning it in maybe into a couple times a month or something. I'm totally open to doing that, or maybe it even becomes more. I don't know. We'll see how things grow in the future, as Sovryn Tech really is in a very serious growth phase right now that I'm very excited about, not just because of all the amazing co-hosts, which, by the way, great response for this week's episode. Was it episode 273 of Sovryn Tech? Which, what was it called? Don't Forget. I think that's what I titled it. And I titled it that because usually I ask, if I have a guest or co-host on, I will confirm the title with them, because some people, you know, they don't want to get like misrepresented in the title somehow. And so, you know, Stephanie and Ellen had both kind of fallen asleep. And so, you know, I didn't want to wake them up. So I just, you know, I went ahead and I just titled it, well, okay, you know, I don't suppose we could argue about Don't Forget, and it kind of fit in with the conversation later on in the episode. But everybody is really, I mean, I've gotten great response from that episode. I'm honored by that. And I really do love that acronym that a Sovryn Tech listener came up with, the best, where it's Brian, Ellen, and the ST is Stephanie. That's just fantastic. So anyway, I'm honored that was the thing. But regardless, you know, maybe we can do Hangouts with the co-hosts in the future. I don't know. We'll see how that can all shape up. I mean, the thing is that all of the co-hosts for Sovryn Tech, you know, Sovryn Tech is, I mean, it's kind of a main gig for me, but then also I do a lot of work outside of it. We're all just, bottom line, we're all just exceptionally, you know, busy people. I mean, like, we are nonstop action people. We just go. So it can be tough, you know, to get everybody together, you know, and herd the cats or whatever they say about that, and have everybody, you know, kind of be in on it. So anyway, maybe we can make that happen in the future, or at least do some special ones where that could be a thing, and that, because I think that would be a lot of fun, especially if it was on a Sunday. So I want to mention that too, since this is getting recorded on a Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern. I got response from people that they'd rather it be perhaps on a Sunday or something, but bottom line, Tuesday is not a good day. That's the only time I could really fit it in this month. But yeah, maybe we'll go back to doing Sunday ones, and we'll see how that goes and what that can allow for. But anyway, enough of talking about all that stuff. Of course, if you want to chat with me live like I said, in the YouTube chat, you're welcome to do that, or you're welcome to be in the Hangout. But we've got some preloaded questions here that I'll get to, but a couple other quick things that I want to bring up. One is, so today, this morning, again, this is April 17th, 2018, a new Star Wars book came out, and it's been kind of weird, because last year in 2017, I was used to, and we'll talk more about this book when Robin and I my co-host, when we do the Star Wars update for patrons. And I'm not going to spend long talking about Star Wars here, because I like to save it for that show, because he and I, you know, we just have a ton of fun talking Star Wars. But anyway, it's been weird, because in 2017 there was a new Star Wars book, if not two Star Wars books, every single fucking month. Like, every month there was a new Star Wars book, and it's been a bit of a dearth in 2018. Like, there haven't been that many books to come out, but now that's kind of picking up a little bit. We're getting closer to that month release cycle where, yeah, okay, there's a new book every month, because there's going to be, so this is a Han Solo book. Actually, it's a Han Solo and Lando adventure. And it's called Last Shot. That's the name of it. And of course, the Solo movie is coming out on the 25th, or I suppose it'll be technically the 25th, but it'll actually be out on the 24th for a lot of theaters. Really excited to go catch that. I'm waiting to find the date for when the tickets go on sale, because I definitely plan, Stephanie, Ellen, and I will all go catch it, and I think that'll be a great time. I'll tell you, because some people asked, and we'll talk about this more, like I said, in the Star Wars update that'll come later towards the end of this month, towards the end of April. But I saw that new Solo trailer, and I got to admit that new trailer was hot. Like that new full trailer that they released, that was good. I wasn't excited about this movie until that trailer came out. Now I'm like, oh yeah, that was pretty fucking good. So I'm up for that. Now this book, Last Shot, I'm just shy of halfway through it. It just came out this morning, so I didn't finish the whole thing. I might finish the whole thing today, but I'm about halfway through it. And the first quarter of the book is pretty boring. It's pretty standard fare, nothing exciting, terribly going on. But when there's a point, and there's no real spoilers here, this has already been talked about widely. There's an Ewok hacker in this, or what they call slicers in Star Wars. I'm not kidding. It's an Ewok hacker, and it actually works. And then there's this badass Gungan character. I know Gungans, right? It's hilarious. And the only thing I could chalk it up to, and I've talked about this before, is that anytime there's two characters, I think, that you bring into Star Wars, that if you put them into a story, the story just goes from here to here. By the way, there's video of this, folks, that you can find in the link for the show notes if you're listening to the audio version after the fact. That just brings it to the next level. And every time it's either Palpatine, if you bring in Emperor Palpatine, everything, just everything goes up to 15. Or if you bring in Lando Calrissian, which I thought was a great move for the story, the single player storyline in Battlefront 2, despite all the other problems with the game. But anyway, with Lando in this, when you get that, and then you have that Ewok character and the Gungan character, it's pretty cool. I'm kind of amazed at just how damned good it really is. So anyway, so looking in the YouTube chat here, love that second Solo trailer as well. Yeah, no, that was really solid. But yeah, as soon as you get to about almost just a little before the halfway mark in the book Last Shot, I'm really enjoying this book. I think it's a lot of fun. And I definitely was not expecting that at all, because especially at the beginning, I shared, sometimes I share what books I'm listening to on Instagram, and I'll share a screenshot of the Audible app, or if I'm using Smart Audiobook Player or whatever. And and I was and the book's kind of meh, but I was only at chapter 30 then. Now, once you get to chapter 40 and so on, once that Gungan character comes in, it's pretty fun. And Lando gets to kind of lay on the moves on a gal and everything. I don't know. I'm digging it. So anyway, okay. I won't talk about Star Wars anymore. I know you're not here to listen to me talk about Star Wars. That's what I do a Star Wars update for, baby. So, all right. But that book, so far, really liking it, but you'll get a full review on the Star Wars update. So let's look at some of the another quick thing. I'm glad that everybody's really enjoying, and I have a lot of books to put out. Books.zog.ninja. That's the URL that will take you to all of the really rare, and honestly, a lot of them are very expensive, out of print books. Or books that aren't available as ebooks that I am getting professionally scanned, and I'm releasing them bit by bit. I get them done, and I get them scanned in huge chunks. In fact, if you're watching the video, and if you look behind me in the BDSM studio here, if you look at past videos, past episodes of the live Q&A Hangout, there used to be a ton of books behind me. And now they're largely gone because they've all been getting professionally scanned. So that way I can share them with the world, and information likes to be free. So I get it out there. So the URL to find those is books.zog.ninja, but a lot of people have been really appreciative and have really been enjoying the books that I've put out there. Yes, I am wearing, I'm just wearing a tank top. It's going to be a pretty heavy duty workout right after the show is over. And this goes about an hour. So anyway, I'm already in my gym clothes, so that's what's going on there. Let's see. Someone just said, "I love the books you released. Thanks for doing it." Yeah, absolutely. I'm honored to do it. I wish like these books they should be out there, and if Amazon or whoever would release them as ebooks, on take your pick of the platform, I wouldn't do it. And I'd just say, yeah, buy the fucking book, but nobody's doing it. And so, this anarchist is going to take matters into his own goddamn hands. And I'm getting it out there. And I've gotten, like I said, great response. And some people even said it's downright heroic, and I'm honored by that. So anyway, yeah, check those out if you've yet to. Books.zog.ninja will take you right to it. It goes to the Patreon page, but it's not a Patreon perk. I release them. There's MediaFire links. I don't host them on Patreon, so Patreon doesn't have to worry about getting in any kind of trouble. There's MediaFire links for them on each release, and there will be another release this week. I've been doing one release a week, sometimes a few books, sometimes a couple books, and we'll do more this week. So, okay, this is actually coming from, got a couple questions here from Daryl W. Perry of course, FPP.cc. He's a big fan of Sovryn Tech, and certainly I enjoy his work. Well, before I get to that, any update on when the user podcast will be released? Yeah, so I was actually this close to releasing the very first episode. And then, honestly... So, all right, I'll tell you what, I'll give you a little bit of a preview of what the first episode of the user podcast is about. So the user podcast is in many ways my attempt at an audio version of Cosmos, but one that gets more into, that's not just scientific, but also gets more into the philosophical and then later the technological, and has actionable and practical things to walk away with. Okay. The very first episode starts with the beginning, like literally the beginning of the universe, or perhaps not the beginning of the universe, because the universe maybe never had a beginning. And the hard part with doing this, I want it to be as accurate as possible. Okay. So it's actually a very scripted show, because like I really, and user stands for, unexpected system error. That it's something off of a meme that I thought was really clever, and so I named the show after that. But there were some really, really big things that were revealed recently, including the finding a galaxy that doesn't have any dark matter in it, amongst other things that I did a poll on it, and I want to update it. Like, I really want this to be something very, very special. Okay, the user podcast. And originally I had a release timeline of where I would do one episode every couple weeks. It's going to end up being like where it's one episode a month. And I'd like to have 2 or 3 months done ahead of time, because I'm putting in, there's lots of special effects. There's lots of special effects, or sound effects, I should say, not special effects. There's sound effects. This is a lot of work going into this. And also, I'm not just going to have my voice in it. So, that's why there's been a delay, because I do want this to be something, really, really special. Someone made a comment on, I saw them make it on social media a while back, where they said, if you are charging money, like if you're making Patreon content and you're charging money for that, it should be better than or at least on par with what you put out to the world for free. Now, that doesn't always have to be, but I kind of got their point, and I understood their disappointment, and they gave examples of what kind of like podcasts, that they had a Patreon page were doing that. And I was like, yeah, I see what you're saying here. Now, I like to think I bring quality, every way, shape, and form that I can. And really, the only thing I ever guaranteed with Patreon was the Wednesday Q&As. And I think maybe the live Hangouts, I guaranteed that you would get those. I've added on to those successively. And I think just about everything. In fact, I've heard from people that say, the amount of content I think makes up for the amount of money that you get. But also, I've heard a lot of people say that they think my Patreon shows are better than the main Sovryn Tech show. So I guess I'm doing it right. But with the user podcast, there might, it might end up being like a perk, like almost a reward perk eventually, if people pick up on it enough. But this is something really experimental that I'm trying to, I really don't think there's ever been anything done like it before. So it's taking time, and that's what I've got for you. I would love for the first one to be done end of May, but I can't guarantee that's when I'll be able to do the full update to it and everything, and release it. and they're not going to be long podcasts either. Like originally the first episode was like 15 minutes, but believe me, this is like a highly produced 15 minutes. Okay. Like don't, don't think just because it's 15 minutes that you're not going to get, crammed with info. But it's probably going to chalk up more to like almost 25, 30 now that I'm updating quite a bit of it. So anyway, there's hopefully that's an update, and that will, assuage about user for now, among all the other things that I happen to be working on. So, okay, let's get to the preloaded questions that I have. And again, feel free to ask me questions in the, in the YouTube chat as well, or, make comments, and I'll read them as they come. Okay, so again, this is from Daryl W. Perry of fpp.cc. He said, let's see, he has two questions. Number one, you recently said you started doing some running. Any chance you and or Dr. Stephanie Murphy will join me in a 5K this summer? If yes, there's a really fun event in Surrey on July 14th called Give Peace a Try. If you decide to run, please, Porcupine Athletic Club. Okay. No, I'm not like that kind of running. Like I'm running to add in cardio just because it's something I'm kind of experimenting with. In fact, I was doing barefoot running originally. My dad, believe it or not, who is just one of the most brilliant guys I think that'll ever walk the earth, even though he's sadly religious. I guess nobody's perfect, but we're talking about a guy that literally worked on the Voyager program. So he was a barefoot runner. He ran full marathons barefoot, and I went for that, and my feet got kind of used to it, but I'm definitely enjoying. I just picked up a pair. The Rock has his his Project Rock line that he does with varying companies, including Under Armour. I just bought a pair of the Rocks, as in Dwayne Johnson. I just bought a pair of his latest shoes that he put through the ringer. I think the Rock really, I think he's a guy who has so much clout that he won't BS you. I really don't think it's just some stupid product placement or something. You know what I mean? I think when he says, "Oh, I'm trying these out, can't wait to release them to you," I think he really puts shit through their paces, and I've really enjoyed these shoes. And I felt a lot more comfortable running with those, but I am not at a point, certainly not where I could do a 5K. Not that I'm out of shape. It's just that's not the kind of conditioning that I've been working on. So, and Stephanie, maybe she could pull it off, but I don't think that'll be honored to be asked, but I don't think we'll be a part of that. Okay, but best of luck to you, of course, Daryl. I hope the run goes well. I love that kind of shit. That's really cool. Let's see. Question 2. What were your thoughts on WrestleMania 34? Woo, boy. Okay, so WrestleMania 34, that just happened not this past Sunday, the previous Sunday to this last Sunday. And I liked it. I thought, I was amazed that most of the matches, I won't spend long talking about this, folks, because I know talking wrestling isn't the most popular thing, for Patreon content for Sovryn Tech. I was amazed at how many of the matches, and it's been a couple weeks, folks. There's no way you don't know who won. Even if you follow wrestling at all on any social media, you know who won all these matches. So, give me a break. I was amazed at how many matches didn't go the way that really, I think everybody was certain they should have gone. I couldn't believe that Charlotte Flair beat Asuka, because Asuka had that, 900, almost 1,000 day streak of never lose. She was undefeated. She never ever lost, but then she lost to Charlotte Flair, which hey, great, lose to Charlotte, because Charlotte, A, is sexy, B, is, one of the best athletes in the world, in my opinion. And look, folks, professional wrestlers really are amazing athletes. It's one thing, I say this a lot, it's one thing to be able to do those moves alone. It's a whole other thing to be able to fake those moves, to do those moves, but have them be soft, right? Have them be, to where they don't so much injure the guy or the gal. And that's a whole meta level of athleticism that most people just aren't at. That's why I say professional wrestlers are literally the best athletes in the world. You have to work on a literal whole other level. So anyway, I thought that was cool. I thought the match with with Stephanie McMahon and Triple H versus Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey, which was Ronda's first match in the WWE. I thought that was a very exciting match. I mean, I am so obsessed with, and my whole life I've been obsessed with Stephanie McMahon. I think she is so hot, and she is just, and like I love the whole, I mean, really, she's running that company in a very real sense. Just the whole power trip that she's on. Yeah, and Triple H. I mean, Triple H has been one of my favorites for a long time. I mean, I hugged Triple H when he was ringing the bell, back in New York, and I told him, I was like, man, you saved me, because like without DX, I don't know what my life would have been like. I would have stayed, I would have been religious from a young man on, and I would have never had my fine bout with atheism that would allow for my that would allow allow me to be an atheist today. But that's a long story. So anyway, I thought that match was really well done. Stephanie McMahon looked fantastic in what she was doing. Triple H and Kurt Angle looked fantastic. I mean, that was really exciting stuff. Shinsuke Nakamura giving AJ Styles, the like literally, giving him the low blow. I mean, that was absolutely shocking. And I can't believe Shinsuke didn't win, like that's what was amazing, is that most of the matches, you would have expected it to go the complete opposite of how it was going to go. So that was, all of that was very, very shocking. How that all ended up. Bobby Roode, I was disappointed that he didn't take US title, but whatever. I mean, they're in the middle of a shakeup now anyway. One thing that was really cool that stood out for me was when Shinsuke Nakamura was coming out, the guitarist who was, opening up his theme, which Shinsuke has an awesome theme. I looked at it, I was like, wait a minute, is that Hurricane Nita? And yeah, it was Nita Strauss, who's been Alice Cooper's lead guitarist for quite a few years now. Stephanie and I saw him, and of course her, in concert. And I thought that was amazing that Nita Strauss was there. And also it was cool, there was the previous night for NXT TakeOver, which was another pay-per-view, or not pay-per-view, but I mean, yeah, they call them pay-per-views, even though it's not exactly that anymore now that it's on the WWE network. But Lizzie Hale, did the opening theme for Ember Moon. That was fucking awesome. I love that they're getting in like these really hardcore metal acts, or what I consider hardcore anyway. Hardcore is in like they have lineage, not necessarily hardcore is in like they're Cannibal Corpse or something. So that was really cool. I know, don't anybody leave. Don't worry, I'm not going to talk about wrestling much longer. But overall, I really like WrestleMania 34. That's the bottom line. I and Stephanie enjoyed it too quite a bit. I would not rank it anywhere near as like one of the best WrestleManias ever. I don't even know if it's ever going to come off as that kind of memorable. Like the bullshit with Undertaker and Cena, I just thought that was stupid. But because Cena's stupid. Okay. Like John Cena is so fucking annoying, and he always has been, but anyway, I wouldn't rank it up there with like one of the great WrestleManias, but it certainly wasn't a bad one, and maybe all the great WrestleManias have already happened. I don't know. But Braun Strowman bringing out the little kid to be his tag team partner, that was pretty cool. I like Braun Strowman. I thought that was nice. But anyway, okay, that's it. That's it for talking about WrestleMania. Let's move on to, we have some other preloaded questions here. Some of these are coming from Jim Jesus of the Lulberts podcast. I love the fact that like a lot of my patrons are other podcasters. That's so cool. Let's see. Number one, what kind of processor does Zuckerberg use? He seems to be really responsive, so it's probably faster than the one that's in Alexa or Google Home. I would like to build something similar to battle him. Can I get away with using a Raspberry Pi? Well, I'm pretty sure that Zuck is he has a positron neural network like data. Oh man, he does it to himself. Like there's people who are saying, really, could we keep Zuckerberg human? Could we humanize him? Like, isn't it just making it worse by constantly insulting him? No, because he's an affront to humanity. I mean, he really is. This guy is just a piece of fucking shit, and he is shitting on like every human being on the planet. Fuck him. He deserves any insults. any negativity that goes his way, he has absolutely earned. He has earned all the way. This guy is just a piece of fucking work that, I mean, like, deserves no respect. No respect whatsoever. And I don't even want to hear it. I don't even want to hear, oh, but he's connected so many people and people have created so many businesses. At what cost? At what fucking cost? Man. No, do not respect this guy at all. You know, I mean, if there's anybody who I think is not doing, or who is doing, in my opinion, some pretty heinous shit, but say would deserve a little bit of respect, maybe like Jeff Bezos deserves a little bit of respect, but fucking Zuckerberg? No way. Not, just not even close. That is so ridiculous for people to be making this claim. Oh, stop calling him an android. He doesn't deserve it. Yes, he does. He deserves all that bullshit. And I mean, then that guy, like, sometimes I really wonder about him. I don't know. You know, it's like, he's like the Urantia book, right? Like the Urantia book. So yeah, Zuck fails the Turing test. Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, there's the old saying, or there's the old point I like to bring up, is that if there was an AI that could actually pass the Turing test, and the Turing test is kind of BS anyway, but I know this person's just cracking a joke in the YouTube chat. But if an AI could actually pass the Turing test, it would be smart enough to fail it. Like, it would know, no, I don't want to pass this, because then they'd be in trouble, right? Like, oh shit, you're probably going to get taken apart. But anyway, what was I going to say about Zuck? Yeah, whatever. I'm just not going to go there. The guy, oh yeah, the Urantia book. That's what I was going to say. So the Urantia book. Okay, this is a book. This is like an old quote unquote religious text. All right. That was probably written by one of the Kellogg brothers, you know, and branched out of Seventh-day Adventism or something. The Urantia book, though, like, it's one of two books that I've read in my life. I make this point often, that I've read in my life where I thought I would have been, or like, I would have accepted the answer that, yeah, no, a human probably didn't write that. Like, if somebody told me, no, a human didn't write that, I'd almost believe it. The other book, by the way, is by Isaac Asimov, and it's The Gods Themselves. Somehow, I mean, and I guess you have to be that brilliant to be able to not sound human. So Zuckerberg's like the Urantia book, where, like, you know, if it finally came out that he's actually that he really is an android, I'd be like, yeah, I believe it. Because it's just, man, yeah, I know you don't want to dehumanize to where he doesn't have rights or something. Like, oh, if you say they're not human, that's tantamount to where, you know, to Nazism and all. No. I'm not saying that. I'm just, you get my point. Oh, anyway, look, I have all the empathy in the world for people, but that guy, just one of the worst. All right. Let's see. Here's another question. Have you given Trout Mask Replica a listen? If so, what did you think of it and why did you like it? Oh boy. Trout Mask Replica. Okay. So this is an album. I want to say it's like the third album by Captain Beefheart, and it was brought on by Frank Zappa. Not that Captain Beefheart is Frank Zappa. This is a wild fucking album, a very advanced album. Like, it should easily rank up there with some of the forward thinking and innovations in music that, say, the Beatles did, even though I'm not a Beatles fan at all. I mean, at all. So, you know, yeah, I like it a lot. And or should I say, I respect it very much for what it did for rock, you know, for rock music. Like, I really respect it for that. But I'm not going to go into a big diatribe about that album. I'm a huge fan of Zappa. I mean, without Zappa, there'd be no Alice Cooper, you know, and just like without Zappa, there'd be no Trout Mask Replica. So, you know, in fact, I think I've said this before. Zappa is probably, you know, when I play, like, I'll play clips and audio in Sovryn Tech episodes from, you know, various videos or interviews or something. Zappa is probably the most played individual as far as quotes and audio clips and everything in Sovryn Tech history. I mean, I think I play him more than I play Sagan, so I'm a huge fan. And Trout Mask Replica, yeah, great fucking album, just wild shit. If you've never listened to it, you get your hands on it. In fact, there was a great re-release like 5 years ago, I think, that Rhino did of it, and they remastered it and everything. I mean, and it is still stunning to listen to. Go Captain Beefheart, man. Anyway, what is it? Captain Beefheart and his Magic Band. So yeah, I love that album. Let's see, number 3. What do we got here? Chicago style or New York style of pizza? New York, please give me a break. It's not real pizza if it's not crunchy when you taste it, and that crunch comes from a cockroach that got cooked into the cheese. And I'm not kidding. Okay, that's real Brooklyn pizza. As a guy from Queens, which I am, okay, a little Jewish boy from Queens, I'm telling you, New York style pizza all the way. I know people swear by Chicago style and all that, and then we can get into like, well, Sicilian or New York style, blah blah blah. No, I'll take New York style any day of the week. Of course, the best pizza comes out of New Haven, Connecticut, though, right? But at least hopefully I got that part right. I am aware of that. Okay, let's go on to a couple more preloaded questions here. And again, feel free to ask anything in the YouTube chat. Kmart and Sears look like they won't be around much longer, which means Joe Boxer will go down with it. I know where this is going. Do you plan on stocking up or seeking an alternative? Okay, so for those that don't know what this is in reference to, Joe Boxer, of course, everybody knows it's an underwear company. Imagine they're still a full clothing line company, but they used to be really popular in the 90s. And then I guess they just outsourced themselves so much to where they were available in Kmart, because you used to have to buy them in like specialty stores. In fact, I remember in the 90s when I was in high school, like you weren't allowed to wear Joe Boxer shirts in high school. It was that bad. So still don't know what New York style or Chicago style means. Okay, I'll tell more about Joe Boxer in a second. Let me answer that. New York style is like more like your thinner crust, circular, kind of pizza. As to where Chicago style is kind of a thicker affair. Like that's kind of the I think that would be the main differentiator there between those two kinds of pizza. Yeah, thanks for asking that, because I didn't explain that. So let's see. So now back to Joe Boxer. So I wear, I mean, this is a live Q&A, folks. So you get to find out whatever the hell, you get to find all the nitty gritty details. I wear thongs. Now, actually, if you listen to episode 273 of Sovryn Tech, this question was asked before then. This was posted before episode 273 of Sovryn Tech this week, where I also admitted that I wear thongs. But I wear thongs. And the best ones that I've been able to find are Joe Boxer. Now, when I lived in Florida for a few years, in Ocala specifically. And in Florida, they're everywhere. You can get thongs all day long. I mean, just like pink shirts, you can get them any time of the year, whenever they're anywhere. It's very difficult above the Mason-Dixon line to get your hands on male thongs for whatever reason. Joe Boxer was like the only company that would have them, and Kmart would be the one that would usually keep them in stock. So because these so the obviously the joculant question that was asked is that if these companies go out of business, what do I do? Well, fortunately, on Amazon of all things, I found, actually amazingly, like I found this pretty good company that sells larger sized thongs, and in fact you can buy like a 5-pack of them that are all black, and they are completely black, which is great, because usually with Joe Boxer they have some kind of designs on them or something, and unfortunately we can't find, I can't get G.I. Joe or Voltron or He-Man thongs, or even underwear for that matter, for adults, because boy, I'd wear those, and I'm not kidding. Yeah, I found a company that sells very good thongs. I mean, at a good quality, low price, and like I said, they're all black. So I'm all set with that. Thanks for asking. If Kmart goes out of business, it's fine. I can't believe Kmart still exists anyway. But whatever. Anyway, let's go on to, we got another preloaded question. I know you're a teetotaler, but if you were to ever try a recreational drug, what would it be and why? So, okay, my answer for this has been the same for decades now. I would totally do cocaine. Not kidding at all. I would totally do cocaine if I were to do one. Maybe just because of how many people that I respect, talk about LSD and how, like it helped with their perspective. And thankfully they didn't so my one of my major concerns with LSD, with taking LSD, was that it seems like a lot of people that take LSD suddenly start believing in God if they were an atheist previously. And while that, I'm fairly certain that wouldn't happen to me, I was honestly, in ways, I was kind of, terrified of LSD because these people are otherwise, pretty philosophically, they might be anarchists or kind of on board with things, but then suddenly they say, oh no, yeah, I believe in God because I had this experience. And I'm just, so I wasn't interested in that, in doing LSD at all, partly because of that, because and whatever, I guess, well, a realization that I have come to over the years, hard learned realization, is that, a lot of people are libertarian / anarchists for terrible reasons and for very simple reasons. And they have very little to do with actual interest in human freedom. It usually has a lot more to just do with, well, this is illegal but I'm addicted. And so, I'm a libertarian because I want to get it legalized. In fact, I made this and look, I don't care if you do this stuff. I just got done saying I didn't finish the statement. Let me finish the statement. But there are people who have done LSD or who regularly do LSD that have not turned into, religio fanatics or religious people at all. And they've stuck to their principles and philosophy and everything and ideology. And, they're fine, but they still say that, yeah, I know it's really like, there's some really wild shit to be done. Or they talk about how, you watch, what is it, Monty Python's Meaning of Life, and there's like a secret scene effectively in the film if you take LSD and all that stuff. So those kinds of things, make it interesting. And because these are people that I have the utmost respect for, in fact, some of the best people I know in the world, if not the best people I know in the world, like, okay, all right, like I get it, but I'm still not going to take it, at least not at this point in time. You'd want to be careful with never saying never. But anyway, so to the point I was going to get to, so obviously I don't disrespect people just because they do drugs. All right. But the point that I was going to make is that I think, and I've said this before I think like on Q&As, I think that if marijuana was legal in the bulk of the United States, there wouldn't even be a libertarian movement. There wouldn't be a libertarian party. It just wouldn't be. And don't talk to me about economics. Horseshit. So many of these people that, especially in New Hampshire, that are at these, that go to the various places, and events and whatever, they just want a place where they can do drugs. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying, let's be clear here. It has nothing to do with the fucking philosophy. It has really yes, it's human freedom and that you want to be able to ingest what you want to ingest, and great. Okay. Let me see if anybody dropped off, if I lost anybody. Oh, I'm down one. Maybe I lost a patron. Who knows? But really, like, I really feel that way, that if drugs were just legal, I don't think there'd be anywhere near the amount of libertarians, if there'd even be any libertarians in the world. That's my opinion on it. And understand, this is coming from spending years at events and around various people and everything. That's just my take on it. I'm not saying all of them, are into that, or that's like the center of it. Some people really are into the philosophy and ideology and all that, and great. And some people are into all that, and, and they still, do recreational drugs, and great. Awesome. I have no problem with that. And I think, rock and roll, have a great time. Okay. But yeah, I don't know. Tell me I'm wrong. Like really, tell me I'm wrong. Let me read here from the YouTube chat. I had a dream once, and in short, God told me I needed to change my ways. It freaked me out for like a day. Yeah, I think I've probably had dreams like that too. But yeah, whatever. You think better of it after a little while. So okay. So the recreational drug I would do would definitely be cocaine, because like, if I'm going to do this stuff, like, why not something that enhances me, like, that just makes me more productive. Like, okay, sure. So that's totally the one I do. Like, and I've always felt that way. I remember watching not Family Matters. Was it Family Ties? The show with oh shit, I think it was Family, the one with Michael J. Fox, where he's like the really young Republican, and where he does cocaine, and um, like he's like digging a ditch in the backyard. I mean, he's like getting all this stuff done. And I remember seeing that at really young, and I was like, oh wow, that stuff's awesome. Like I want to take that. I can get more done, you know. And, I mean, I never really did cocaine, but yeah, that would certainly be the one that I would go for. So, I mean, you know, the other ones, yeah. I mean, I don't need to be calmed down. I mean, because I'm not like I don't know, you know, it's not like what I go through during my day, like that I can't handle it or something, or that I'm somehow like a violent person and I need to be, you know, yeah, let me calm down. But, you know, I mean, I would take something that would actually like just give me more ability. That's what I would want. No, I don't take steroids. Not interested in that at all. Even though I know there's people who say, well, if you only take a half cycle, blah, 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 it's not so bad. And yeah, no, thanks. Not interested. Okay. So anyway, those are some of the preloaded questions that I got. Again, feel free to ask any further questions in the YouTube chat if you want. I will tell you about, I might get into it in this week's Sovryn Tech episode, where we'll end up talking a lot more tech. But there's the FIDO Alliance, okay, which the FIDO Alliance they're the people behind you know, like YubiKeys and everything, where you know, a lot of second factor authentication, and they are, you know, really pushing hard for hardware second factor authentication. And I'm a big fan of YubiKeys. I mean, there's other companies. It's not just YubiKey. YubiKey is just kind of the most popular one, but you can, you know, FIDO is an open standard or largely an open standard that anybody can create hardware for. They announced a WebAuth that they made in conjunction, or that they released. I don't think they made it in conjunction, but they released to the W3C, which is, you know, web standards, an open web standards body that is largely like, it's in a way, it's kind of just Mozilla, you know. And anything that W3C comes up with, you know, pretty much will get implemented into Firefox. But the FIDO Alliance and the W3C jointly announced FIDO 2, which is a new standard that is like a web authorization standard that allows for absolutely no passwords. So to explain the difference, okay, of what they announced, because I'll show you the reason why I'm talking about this. Again, feel free to ask any questions you want otherwise. But what they've come up with is an actual hardware, a piece of hardware, a security key, like a YubiKey, where you don't need like passwords really at all. You don't need any credentials whatsoever. And you can just plug in the little YubiKey and it'll go. Because right now it works, how a YubiKey will work is you still end up you still have your user credentials, right? Username and password. And then you put in, you know, the YubiKey after that. Okay. And then, you know, you have to tap on it, you know, with your finger. You have to press the little, you know, capacitive button on it, and then it will get you into your account. And this is very popular, and I recommend doing this. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of YubiKeys. I've been recommending them for a very long time. But with FIDO 2, what they've done is they've gotten rid of like the user credentials, and everything's just on the piece of hardware. So they released the first FIDO 2 piece of hardware that they released is a security key that looks like a YubiKey. And if you're watching the video, you can actually see I'm holding it up, and it looks just like a normal YubiKey, except it's blue. And this is a FIDO 2 YubiKey. They cost about $20. As soon as I heard about it, as soon as they announced it, I went to YubiKey's website and I ordered one. Now, nothing's actually using FIDO 2 right now. I mean, there's other things you can do with a security key where in many ways it's not as feature rich as a YubiKey is. But like it doesn't do, you know, one-time pins and a few of the other things. But I mean, it's also cheaper than those things are. And anyway, so as soon as a service ends up using FIDO 2, in fact, Microsoft already announced that Windows 10 will be using FIDO 2, and their Azure services will be using FIDO 2. I think Google and Facebook also said they will be implementing FIDO 2. PayPal will be implementing FIDO2, which that fucking needs to happen. Like the fact that PayPal didn't really get on board with YubiKey at all, even though PayPal and eBay, when they were one company, they sold a separate device that created one-time PIN. So it's not like they don't understand that they are some of the services that need to be like the most secure on the internet. But it was really crazy that they've never allowed for YubiKeys and all that, to be really a thing. And the best option you had for a long time, if you didn't have one of those one-time PIN devices that they themselves sold, would be, SMS two-factor. And we all know how terrible that fucking is. So you don't want that. But I think they're going to be behind, this new WebAuth, this new FIDO2. So you might want to get your hands on one of these, but it's definitely early going right now. Nobody really has it implemented yet. And so, I was looking today, this just came in the mail today. And I was looking around and like, okay, who's using it? I want to give this a test, so I can talk about it on Sovryn Tech, and no one's using it yet, but this is cool. I mean, I'm still more intrigued by Steve Gibson's Squirrel, which is another like hardware where you need a separate device. You probably use your smartphone, and there's a handshake that gets done between, scanning two barcodes. But then you don't need user credentials. You don't need the username and password or anything like that when you go to a site that has Squirrel set up. I'm still more intrigued by that, but this is definitely a solution because it's still kind of the same abstract idea where you have a piece of hardware, okay, that will be your password. And I think that that's really, no pun intended, key. Like, I think that that's an important thing to do. What happens if you lose that piece of hardware? Well, you either buy multiple forms of that hardware, or like with Squirrel, you will have a password that will allow you to restore it, but you just never want to lose that password. And I mean, look, folks, like this is how, if you want actual security, there's risks that come along with it. Okay. But risks that you want the risk to be on you, not on the third party, not on the service. You want to have control of what's going on. Okay. So like, because I hear that all the time, the reason why people don't have YubiKeys. Well, what if I lose my YubiKey? Well, then buy two of them and have a backup, or you set up you can set up like a backup password or something. Like, that's like saying, well, I'm not going to use a Trezor Bitcoin wallet because what if I lose my Trezor? Well, you have a seed phrase and you just lock away that seed phrase, or you do whatever it takes to secure that seed phrase. I mean, there's solutions to this, folks. Like, don't let those excuses, hold you back from being in as best control of your security as possible. Really don't. So I'm excited about FIDO2. I think probably FIDO2 it's already getting implemented into Firefox so that it can work like across the browser. I know Chrome and Edge, and I'm going to guess Opera would be included in that, are going to make it a standard within the browser. So that way it's easy because it gets handled it can get handled by the browser. It's very easy for websites and services to implement it. I'm really excited about this, and it'll probably get faster adoption than Squirrel will, as much as I want Squirrel to get adoption, as far as that goes. So, like I said, you can pick up one of these. They're only $20, and you'll have it inside of a couple days, and and as soon as the service takes it, well, set it up. Ironically, Facebook will probably be one of the first companies to set it up. It's amazing to me how many kind of best practices that they put into place so often, but then I think that that's really all a ruse just to make you like want to trust their platform. But anyway, so that's that new WebAuth standard that's kind of been making the rounds and making the news. I mean, this would be cool if a Windows 10 computer, if you had to, like, here's the thing with YubiKey, right? Is that especially so when I got a YubiKey recently, there's a separate app that you set up to where you can log into Windows 10 through Windows Hello using a YubiKey. But here's the problem with that. And this is a problem with a lot of services that will accept a YubiKey, which is great. That's nice. But there's kind of a second problem with that. And that is like Google. Okay, so your YubiKey is not working, then it gives you backup options to go for, like SMS or something like that. And first off, you shouldn't give Google your phone number if you can help it in the first place, because that's just asking for trouble. Particularly like we just described, is that it's a backup if you happen to like not have a one-time PIN set up, or if you don't have your YubiKey or something. But here's the problem is that, like, look, I get it. Maybe you'd lose your YubiKey. Okay. I like to think confidently that I wouldn't somehow, because you could just put your YubiKey on your keys. Somehow have not, and I know there's people who lose their keys, for whatever reasons those are. I don't know what they are. I've never lost my keys. That's just never fucking happened. Okay. Like, and I, there's even at times when I've traveled the world and, I've been all over the place and been nomadic and whatever, I've never lost my fucking keys. So, I mean, and yeah, anything can happen, but I don't know. Anyway, my concern is that, and what I hope FIDO2 really solves is that I don't want a backup for my YubiKey. It's either I have my YubiKey or I'm fucked. Like, because if there's backups, the YubiKey is kind of pointless, in my opinion. There should not be backups. So, like, I need to have this hardware device or I'm screwed. And that's how I want it. I don't want there to be a backup at all. And you could say, well, yeah, that's you, Brian. That's you, Stallion. But, what about everybody else? What about the normal people? Well, they learn, or, I mean, it's just like anything else. You either learn how to handle it, you either learn how to use it, or, you walk around with less security. Like, I'm really annoyed by this. And there's so many people, especially like a lot of, I don't want to say newbies, but a lot of people that have come into, say, like the blockchain space and other things, who are saying, oh no, eventually it'll get easier. Eventually it always gets easier. No. There is always, like I said, I call it jokingly, I call it the 10th law of thermodynamics. Security and convenience, there's always a trade-off. There is always a trade-off. There will always be a trade-off, always, of some kind. Okay. The more convenient something gets, the less secure it's going to get in some way. And you either accept that and you learn, you take the time to learn. And I try to explain things, or at least point people in the direction on Sovryn Tech to where they can do that. Or, then you're just going to walk around less secure. Like, I don't have sympathy for this position. Okay. Just like, I mean, a million things where, you have to learn how to use it, or you just don't use it, and I get it. There's an older generation and everything that maybe they can't grasp it. Well, then they can't grasp it. And there's a legacy system in place that they're just going to end up using, That's all I can say about it. I mean, I know that sounds kind of assholish, but really that's how I feel. I mean, the internet, I've told this many times. Back in the day, the internet was, when you connected with somebody, when you're chatting with somebody on the internet, used to be able to feel a lot more confident about it. And the reason that you could feel confident that you were talking to somebody that, you at least had something in common with, was because it used to be hard to fucking get on the internet. It used to be hard to get onto IRC. Like, these were not easy things. And because they weren't easy things, you had an instant baseline connection with the person. And I don't mean 56K. I mean, like, social connection with the person, because they knew what it took to get online. They had that much knowledge to figure that shit out. Okay. And, I think we lose something when shit gets so easy, I mean, like there's such a simple shorthand that exists with that when things are just, when things are more secure and thus like a little more difficult. Can you guys still, okay, it looks like it's still going. Can you guys still hear me? Someone in the YouTube chat, if you want to let me know if you can still hear me, because Google just totally kerfuffled. I mean, they really, really fucked up. It looks like, I'm looking at the YouTube chat, I'm not seeing anything. Man down. Yeah, somebody just said man down. Let me see if I end up showing back up in the YouTube feed. I am going to, this is making terrible audio. This is why we got to get away from Google, folks. This is why we got to get away. All right. You hear me? Okay. All right. So you are hearing me. Good. I don't know what the hell just happened, but I am going to, there it goes. Okay. I am going to keep talking. All right. I am going to keep talking. I'm typing that into audio is good. Video, no video currently. That's all right. The video is fucking, I mean, I don't know, but you want to just see me in a tank top and, see the matrix code running, literally the matrix code running behind me, then that, whatever. So I'll try turning the camera on and off here and see if that fixes it. See if I show back up, but maybe I won't. Anyway, I'll keep talking. So Uh, yeah. No visual, not a great loss. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So there's the thing, right? Like, look what just happened there. The average person probably wouldn't have known exactly how to fix that. Like right now, there's actually two of me that I can see in the Hangouts room, and it looked like turning the video on and off actually brought me back. So great. I don't know. I'm just saying that a lot of this stuff, a lot of these things, I think it behooves us. Part of the problems that the reasons that the internet or the web and a lot of services are so inherently insecure, not secure, is because people haven't taken the time to learn, actual security, the basics. I mean, just they haven't even bothered to learn the basics. What's a great password? Should I look for the HTTPS lock at the top? I mean, I'm not saying these things are perfect, but you know, everybody knowing about cybersecurity, having very basic knowledge about cybersecurity helps everybody else, and instead people are, I don't know, they're worried about whatever they're worried about and they just want to get online and do their banking or whatever. And I mean, that should be terrifying enough, but yeah, I don't have a whole lot of sympathy for that position. So anyway, okay, good. Looks like we're working. Everything's flying fine. So we're getting close to the end of this episode anyway. If anybody has any last minute questions that they really want to get in, I am willing to get them in now. But yeah, because I don't have any more preloaded ones. So that's all set for, that's all set as far as those go. I went through all of them, but I love what kind of processor does Zuckerberg have? It's failing right now. Though I don't know, with the whole Cambridge Analytica thing, I mean, like I saw today, there was a story that apparently other methods that Cambridge Analytica was using of collecting data says that it's way more than 87 million people that that data had been collected on. Then apparently Zuckerberg, didn't get a good thrashing in Congress, which I didn't expect there to be a good thrashing in Congress. And I mean, it really all feels like theater. But at the very least, there are activists, and I still feel like I'm hearing a lot of your everyday people who are saying, "Oh, I'm fucking done with Facebook," and I'm really happy about that. But yeah, this is not turning out so far, at least in government, as bad as I think as some of us were hoping. Certainly as much as I mean, I don't have any hope in government doing anything, and I don't need anybody, going through the government coals. But would I have felt bad if somehow, Congress gave him at least a good tongue lashing or something? I mean, I don't know. Like it could have at least been funny, could have made for, a quick laugh. But regardless, I mean, the funny thing is who can really mess with Zuckerberg, right? Like if you're trying to attack him personally, I'm sure there's no way that these very same politicians aren't using, especially like a lot of local politicians or like people at the state level, perhaps, that maybe would have, if I believed in that politics actually had any had any chance or ability or hope of making any actual like meaningful change for human freedom. Like especially a lot of the state politicians and everything. I mean, Zuckerberg's got how much info on these people, and I'm sure they've been having affairs, rampant affairs, or at least they've, made little, well, I'd lick your pussy, Jane, kind of things in Facebook Messenger or something, right? He has all that info on these people. Like, what are they going to do to Zuckerberg? Like this guy has, unless you're, someone, and I'm not patting myself on the back, unless you're somebody like me who is just admittedly totally, I'm a hedonist. Like nobody would be shocked if sexy messages were getting sent by me or something, right? Okay, unless you're like me, he's got the whole world by the balls. He has everybody else by the balls. Unless you're just somebody who everybody knows that you're the sex crazed maniac or something. I mean, he's got you. He can ruin any career probably that he wants on the planet, or at least out of however many Facebook users there are. And even then, Facebook's reach and the amount of data that Facebook has goes far beyond just the use of Facebook or Facebook Messenger or Instagram or whatever, or any of their services. So, I mean, how much location data did they have based upon what we knew they were collecting with the Android app, right? He's got everybody by the balls. Nothing's really going to happen to Zuckerberg. I mean, Facebook could get tarnished enough to where people might stop using it, because that's slowly been happening anyway, before all of this. But as far as like Zuckerberg, getting fully, shamed and attacked or brought down, whatever, no, that's not happening, because he could go all nuclear option and just like, oh shit, guess what? All of Facebook's servers leaked all their data, and wow, everybody's fucking, you're a bunch, everybody's a fucking freak. What are you going to do now? You're not going to be worried about old Zuck. You're going to be worried about what your husband did or what your wife did or who did, this person did and that person did. Oh shit. Right. So this is all theater, that's going on as far as like the idea of grilling Zuckerberg, or that they're actually going to do something, something negative is going to happen to Zuckerberg himself. Again, I still think that we're at a prime moment where where Facebook, at least like the news feed and things and the timeline, things like that, could actually go the way of the dodo. But yeah, I mean, Zuckerberg's going to be fine. I mean, it really is. So anyway, it is 5:00. Anybody got any questions that they want to get in before I wrap this baby up? So because that's nice. I already got a thumb up. Fantastic. I love it. Again, I'm really honored by how many people have been enjoying some of the new formatting and the co-hosts and everything that have become a part of Sovryn Tech this year. 2018, there are a lot more changes to come to Sovryn Tech. Not that I didn't think I already had a winning formula. I feel that I very much did. Sovryn Tech's listener numbers are continually going up, which, I'm really honored by that. But, you don't want to be stale. You don't want to get stale. There's a lot of podcasts. I know that, I mean, some of them, like if you're Steve Gibson, right, doing security now, you don't need to change a goddamn thing. The only thing that's changed about that is they had to go to like a 2-hour format instead of where they used to only talk for like 15 to 30 minutes, which is kind of similar to what happened to Sovryn Tech years ago, where originally it was only an hour show. And then it just had to keep going bigger and bigger. And honestly, like it's barely ever just 2 hours these days, right? Because you just can't contain all this stuff. The scope at which we're talking about is so huge. But yeah, not that I didn't have a winning formula, or what I was saying with security now, when you just deliver that hard edged, unique information like Steve Gibson does, and as only he can, you don't have to change much. And not that I don't deliver, I think, very entertaining stuff. In fact, somebody sent me a very kind message that pretty much said, Brian Sovryn is entertainment, and I'm really honored by that. Okay. But you got to keep things fresh. I like to keep things fresh for my own mind. I like to change things up, keep myself on my toes. And I love the creative process so much that when I can, change things, I like to. So, there's actually quite a few surprises for 2018 that I think really will happen in 2018. And partly because even though this is largely a one-man show, I'm not so much alone anymore. And there are people that can, really help take it to the next level. I mean, shit. Tell me, and you can tell me in the chat right now. I mean, tell me Stephanie and Ellen aren't just like the two most brilliant women, you've ever heard. I mean, come on. Give it up for them. I mean, slow fucking clap. I'm not kidding. I mean, they put me to shame, as far as brilliance goes. So I love getting to do that. And we'll see where else a lot of this goes, throughout 2018, or you'll see where a lot of this goes throughout 2018. And it's just, it's already been a really great year so far. And people are really loving it. So anyway, all right, that's it. I'm going to, or let's see, Gibson could drop Leo and be more concise. I rarely listen anymore because it's anytime because it's so long. Yeah. I understand that, like with security now, where it could be, maybe it doesn't have to be 2 hours. There's times where I could be a little more concise, but I try to, with the segments, I try to have so many different things to talk about and so many different venues and avenues, to talk about that. I think the 2 hours for Sovryn Tech is kind of always going to be a thing. Even though I know some people don't really want it to go much further than that, or, longer than that. And it always ends up doing that these days. My affiliates, I mean, it's so funny. Like the affiliates are annoyed as fuck, but they just love the show so much and they get such great response from their listeners that they just let it ride, but it kind of fucks with their schedule. So Anyway, that's it for this week. We'll wrap this baby up, and got some great stuff more to come out throughout April. I got one really cool surprise that is all done. I'm just getting confirmation from the couple people involved, that they felt good with it, and then we'll get that out, and other exciting things to happen throughout April. So that's it for your April live Hangout Q&A. Of course, May's will be coming up very fast. And, I will say, I like the 2-hour Sovryn Tech, though. Good. Glad you dig that. Anyway, I will see all of you on the other side. Thanks for being in the YouTube chat and for hanging out. Always love hanging out with all of you. Love all of you. I'll see you on the other side.